We are returning to the year 1985 to revisit the Thundercats toy line by LJN. Last time, we touched on the Rankin Bass cartoon that the toys were based on, and learned that the Thundercats had crash landed on Third Earth. Little did they know, Third Earth was the home of a terrible, ancient, evil being known as Mumm-Ra, the Ever-Living, who would become one of their greatest enemies. And today, we'll be taking a look at Mumm-Ra, here on KREED'S Collection. Mumm-Ra, the Ever-Living, and ma-mutt, or as they later renamed him, Ravage. Mumm-Ra is the main villain of the Thundercats cartoon and toy line, and he is also a very recent acquisition in the KREED'S collection. That's right, this is the first toy I'll be reviewing that I did not own as a child. Now don't worry, the bulk of my reviews will be based on my childhood toys, but every once in a while I will have to review something I acquired later in life, because obviously I didn't get them all when I was a kid. Well, with that said, let's go ahead and dive in, take a closer look at Mumm-Ra. So right away we can see that he has an excellent face sculpt, and his headdress is also super cool. He's got a really cool body, and the paintwork is awesome. I mean, honestly, the Thundercats toys were really well made. They're heavy and they're big. They also have great detail and paintwork. But when I was a kid, the reason I didn't want to collect a lot of them is because they were so statuesque and hard to play with that it was just hard to get excited about them. But now as an adult, I want them because they are such great representations of the cartoon. It's not really a big deal anymore to me that they're not very posable. So let's move on to some of Mumm-Ra's accessories, like his headdress, which is removable. Here's what he looks like without it. The headdress itself is a pretty cool sculpt. I enjoy the tatters of the mummy bandages that are hanging off the back. And I also really like the two snakes on top. It's pretty great and an excellent accessory. I'm surprised they made it removable though. Seems like something that would have just been sculpted right into the head, but it's a neat level of detail that I didn't expect. Mumm-Ra also has two weapons. He has this larger scimitar style sword, and then he has a smaller dagger. Now the sword I like because, again, snake detailing like right here at the end of the handle. And while the dagger isn't nearly as interesting looking, I do still like the fact that it's got this wavy blade design. Pretty cool. Now, like all Thundercats figures, Mumm-Ra has Battle-Matic action. You take this switch right here and you push it down, and it makes his arms swing the swords back and forth like so. As a child, I preferred posability over gimmicky stuff like this, so that's another reason why the Thundercats toys kind of went under my radar. Here's a quick look at the copyright information, 1985 LJN Toys. Now let's take a look at Ravage, or as he was known on the show, ma-mutt. Yeah, I always thought that name was pretty dumb, so I'm glad they renamed him Ravage for the toy release. The original release of Mumm-Ra did not include this PVC statue, but when the second wave Mumm-Ra came out, they included it. Much like Lion-O. The original release Lion-O did not have Snarf, and then the second wave Lion-O did. Ravage has the same copyright information on him, but I just figured I'd show it anyway. Now let's take a look at some of the wear on the figure. It's mostly paint wear, as you can see right there on the yellow, and here on the end of the dagger. And then on the back part, the yellow is also missing a little bit there. And right here on the back of the calf. Sadly, he is missing his silver connector right here. That's where that black hole is. And that is where you'd plug in his power ring, which I'm also missing. This is what the power ring would look like for Mumm-Ra though. And when you plugged it into his back and it was all functional, his eyes would glow red. Here's a picture of what it looked like when everything was operating properly. And now for our He-Man size comparison. As you can see, Thundercats toys are quite a bit larger than Masters of the Universe. But don't worry, He-Man's used to dealing with evildoers with blue skin, and I'm sure he could put Mumm-Ra in his place if he really had to. Everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my toy review for Mumm-Ra from the 1985 toy line Thundercats by LJN. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. I love reading and responding to them. And while you're at it, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it, and it would help my channel grow. I review a toy from my vintage collection every Wednesday, so I hope to see you next week and every week after here on KREED'S Collection.